Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I am here in Dublin City in Ireland, back in Dublin, and I'm here to show you a cemetery that's called the Cabbage Cemetery, or the Cabbage Garden it was known as. It's a very strange area to have graves. You're not going to believe this when I show you. So let's go in and have a look around, and I'll tell you a little bit more information. Right guys, so this is the entrance into the area where the graves are here, and I'll just take you in and wander around. As you can see, there's lots of old buildings in the background. So the cemetery here earned its unusual nickname thanks to history. In 1649, Oliver Cromwell's soldiers rented the land and planted cabbages there to feed his troops during the occupation of Dublin, and locals ended up calling it the Cabbage Garden or the Cabbage Patch. And this is the area here. Now the strange thing about this is, and I'll show you in a minute, there's actually a football pitch in this cemetery. So this cemetery has its own football pitch. So in 1666, the Dean and Chapter of St. Patrick's Cathedral designated the site as a new burial ground to serve the overcrowded parish of St. Nicholas. It was consecrated by Archbishop James Margetson in 1668. So in 1681 to 1685, a section of the plot was reserved for Huguenot French Protestant burials. The cemetery gradually closed. Most burials ended by 1878, with the final interments in 1896, and it ceased overall use in the early 1900s. So in 1982, the Dublin City Council opened part of the site as a public park, arranging gravestones around the perimeter and incorporating open space and a small football area, as I was saying, while also constructing public housing adjacent to it. So this is and we've a large flock of pigeons here feeding off something. I hope they're not bodies they're feeding off. So this is the very strange place to have graves, and there is notable graves here. Edward Ledwich, historian, interred along with several family members here. We have the Latouche family, and I've heard of that name before, Latouche, because I've done a video in Wicklow of the Latouche family crypt. They were founders of the Touche Bank, precursor to Bank of Ireland. So I'll just take you over this direction and we'll read the first part of the monument here that says, so it says French Huguenot burying ground 1660 to 1858. This place was a burying ground of the conforming Huguenots, many of whom lived and worked in this area and worshipped in the Lady Chapel of St. Patrick's Cathedral and in the Church of St. Nicholas without, as dying and behold we live. So there you go. So we'll read a couple of the graves, and you can just see there, look at that. There's people actually living there in that area. So it's now a public park for children to play in. There was vandalism here at one stage. The county council, I think they put CCTV cameras in here to stop all that kind of stuff, and you can just see it there written on the board, the Cabbage Gardens, a history. So the Cromwellian soldiers were in here planting cabbage to feed their soldiers. Unbelievable, isn't it, the history? And just at the back You can see a slab on the wall there with an inscription. Esmond, I think, is the name on that. We have a Catherine Esmond who died in 1840. So there's a number of graves behind that fence, and that area is closed off for some reason. Maybe this is the Huguenot section here, because it's completely separate to the rest, and it is kind of overgrown. We can see a couple of graves just there. So we'll work our way down this way and read some inscriptions. Now some of them aren't legible, they're hard to read, but you can see what they did here. They took all the headstones from the middle, I suppose, and put them up against the wall and made a park out of here. Right guys, we're ready to rock and roll again. I have my torch, so we'll read. Here lied the body of Francis Smith, I think, who departed this life 1766, and his children. This one here is Here lied the body of Francis something. It's very hard to read. We'll try and find one maybe that we can read. You can see this kind of tree there together. This is Mary. I can't see the surname on it here. 1763, I think, is on that one. So they're all along the wall there, up along. Loads of headstones. Pigeons. What a strange area. Very strange area. This stone, the burial place, belonged to John Marr, Dublin. This place belonged to the city of Dublin. Right, this one is a bit easier to read here. So this stone was erected by Henry Metcalfe in memory of his beloved son John Metcalfe, who departed this life June 1818, aged 20 years old. 20 years and 5 months, I think it says. Jesus Christ, those pigeons. Rats in the sky, they call them. Look at them. That is crazy. This place is so weird, honestly. I've never seen anything like this before. And they even have like barbed wire, if you can see, all the way along there. Look at that. Probably to keep people out of here at night time and stuff. Yeah, so there's all headstones here. Mr. Thomas Parsons, timber merchant, it says. So he was a timber merchant who departed this life on the 6th of July 1812, in the 57th year of his age. So he was a timber merchant from Dublin. Now this one here, I have seen this online and read it. Now I've never seen this name before, the forename of the person. So it's Mr. Prince Crawford, who departed this life June 1815, aged 60 years. Also the body of Mr. It's hard to read that there, Brown, I think, is it? The name is 1827. So his name was Prince Crawford. And I've done a lot of graves where seen a lot of names on my travels, but I don't think I've seen a first name like Prince Crawford. If anybody has heard anybody's first name as Prince before, let me know. Not the royal title, but just the normal name, Prince. So this one here is, the surname is Dixon, who departed this life 17. We can just see there, who departed this life 1750, age 50 years old. So some of them you can read and other ones aren't that great. Now this one here says, here lies the body of Mr. Look at that, Luke Kelly, imagine. So we all heard of the famous traditional singer, Irish singer Luke Kelly. But apparently there was a Luke Kelly back in 1791 as well, for the famous namesake Luke Kelly. That's interesting. Right, so I thought it was going to be a rough area actually up around here. It does look like that to me, but it's actually okay. The area, it's quiet. As you can see, there's people. I don't want a video there now. There's children, but I'll just show you the area like I'm see. There's a 5-a-side astroturf in this place here. You can see the goals there. Look at that. 5-a-side. So people come in here and play football, and you know, activities around, and there's people. Now what I'm wondering is the actual bodies still underneath? Is the actual bodies underneath that astroturf there? I don't know. Did they build that football recreational area there where the bodies are? Because all the graves were moved back, because I don't believe that all those bodies were buried just there, because they're all against the wall, those gravestones. So what I'm thinking is there might be in there, they might be in that area over there, I don't know, but it is a strange place, to be honest with you. I've never seen anything like this before. It's unusual, but it is interesting nonetheless, and to be here, to experience it, because I have seen it. And Mark, actually, my friend from Northern Ireland, I want to thank Mark for this video, because he was the one who let me know about it. And so what I'm talking about is just behind me here is probably the original area where the bodies are still buried. So I'll just show you around. So this area just around here I'm talking about, they don't seem to have covered this part of the park with anything. Like you can see over that direction there, as I was saying, there's your football 5-a-side place just there. But in this part of the park, there's houses all around, but there's nothing here in this part. So they could be here, but I'm sure they would have marked this area with some kind of plaque to say here lie bodies or whatever. But it is something else, absolutely. And I don't know if anybody has ever seen anything like this before, but I certainly haven't. And we'll give you a quick look at this board. So that's St. Patrick's Cathedral just there. Here we have one of the Latouche family members, a Huguenot, who established a silk poplin and cambric business when he arrived in Dublin. Huguenots passing through Dublin entrusted him with money and valuables, and eventually he set up a bank with fellow weaver Nathaniel Kane in 1722. This famous Latouche Bank was the precursor for Bank of Ireland in 1745. There you go. He's buried in the Huguenot section of the Cabbage Gardens. So that guy is buried here. David de Gois de Rampere. I think my French is not that great. So hopefully we'll find his grave in this section. This is the Huguenot section. Whether I can go in there or not, I'd like to read his grave. But I don't think it's possible to go in there. They have fenced off that area. Now I might be able to go in here. There's a little gap here, guys. I'm going to get in here and have a little look at this section. The Huguenot section. Look at this. We're in here, guys. It is kind of overgrown. Look at it. They're very, very worn, these graves. Hard to read them. I'd like to find his. Now, there is one over the guy that started up that bank. This is the burial place of John Anthony and James Varelles, I think. Varelles, maybe. Does kind of sound French. Here lies the body of Mr. or Mrs. Jane Penal, who departed this life 17, if you can see that there, 1747, aged 50 years old, maybe, I think. Wow, look at all this overgrowth that's in here. Hopefully I'll be able to get around. So here lies the body of Walsh, I think the name is here, who departed this life 5th of May 1772, if you can see that. Aged 32 years old. So there's a number of graves in there, and I haven't found the name with David on it yet. I was hoping I would find it. The guy that started the bank. So this one says, this stone was erected by William Smith of Henry Street to the memory of his beloved aunt, Mrs. Margaret Parrott, formerly of Wood Quay in this city, who died October 1819, aged 74. Here are also deposited the remains of her sister, Mrs. Anne Duggan, who departed this life in 1848, aged 59 years old. So there you go. I was kind of wondering whether I'd come up here and do a video now, because as you can see, it does look very, very dodgy around this area. It's dodgy here, but I'm sure it's okay. You know, you do hear a lot of stories and stuff, and it's hard to believe some of them sometimes. But we do have a guitar here, so I'm sure Elvis Presley is definitely not buried here. So it's not his grave. We'll try and read this one. Here lies the body of Edward Ellis, who departed this life in 1754, aged 28 years old. And there we have a snail on it. So there's another grave. I'll just show you where I was. I was over there reading those ones. So there's a good few in here. This is the Huguenot section. Now maybe David's name is on this one over here. I actually don't want to be walking around too much here, guys, because you could step on a needle, if you know what I mean, around here or anything like that. So here lies the body of James Stephen, I think, Esmond, Catherine, and she died in 18 something as well. Maria Esmond, she died in 1849. So they're all the Esmond family. You can see one there against the wall as well, but it's very hard to read it. It says the burial place of, and very difficult. It's just worn away off that, unfortunately, as you can see. So there we are, guys, look at that. The strange burial place of the Huguenot family. The French presidents were buried here, and all those other graves are the outside. So you can play football here amongst the dead. Football amongst the dead, huh? There you go. Who's that guy over there? Hope he's not watching my camera. Dodgy people. There you go, guys. There's all the graves around there. So I'm going to wrap up this video here. I hope you liked this one. It was interesting. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, follow me for more interesting, unusual burial places, and like this one here in Dublin City. So take care, talk to you all soon. Oh guys, you're not going to believe this, but that video I did in the Cabbage Patch Cemetery place there, I actually left my, this is how bad that place is. I left my torch down, putting something in my bag, and went to a different area to do a video, and came back and it was gone. Someone stole it. So my torch just vanished. €50 it cost on Amazon. So there you go.